Our story is being written right now. A lot of people like to read the Bible, and we go back to the different righteous men that stood tall in the times of peril and in the times of these different empires that ever came to pass. When you go back to the time of Noah, when you go back to the time of Adam, right? When you go back to the time of John, when you go back to the time of Paul, when you go back to the time of Luke, James, right? When you go back to the time of all these righteous men that stood tall, guess what? Their story was being written at that time. They were literally making history in their time. So guess what we're doing in our time, brothers? And never forget that. Never forget that, hey, yes, I'm reading about all these righteous men. Some of you brothers could be those righteous men coming back into reincarnation. And your story is being written again today. Our children will read these stories in the kingdom of everything that the prophets had to go through in Babylon. Never lose faith, brothers. Never lose faith. That's a part of your power as well. That's a part of your wisdom. Right? The Most High is blessing you to let you know that, hey, you are a part of this great work, this great mission. This is a mission that we are a part of. This building that's being built up in the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And these stories are going to live on forever and ever and ever. And people are going to tell stories about Babylon and what the prophets went through. The prophets being homeless, the prophets being disrespected, people trying to kill the prophets, people trying to stab the prophets, right? All types of shit. Your family members disrespecting you. You damn near losing your mind, but always prophesying and always keeping your faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Your story is going to be written. There's going to be a book of whoever you are. There's going to be a story of Tahar, a story of Elder Apostle Tahar, a story of Elder Apostle Gabar, a story of Elder Apostle Arimlab, right? A story of Elder Apostle Rakah, a story of the bishops, and so on and so forth. Their accounts and their life and what they went through in Babylon. And it's the same thing for you brothers, man. Right? You elders on down. Your story's being written right now. What we're doing is not for naught. This is not a joke that we're a part of. We're literally making history. We are making history. This is a part of the downfall of Esau. Right? We are a part of the downfall of Esau spiritually. Now this is Romans chapter 15 verse 4, and it reads, "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning." Were written for our learning, right? So we can look back and see what these prophets and these servants of the Lord, these ambassadors of the Lord have been through and be like, okay, well, that's the type of mission I'm going to be on. But we have to apply this new kingdom. Right? What Noah went through, Yahweh Shai never went through. What, right? Like what different men went through won't be what a different man is going to go through, because we're in different times as well. Right? We're in completely different times. So us being in modern day Babylon, when they read about us in the kingdom when we're in power, they're going to be like, wow, how did you guys survive that? They're going to be like, what do you mean a man was a woman? What do you mean a woman was a man? They won't understand. And we're going to tell them, yeah, that was known as a tranny. That was a transgender. You know what I mean? It's going to be amazing, man. But it says whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. You know why? Because there's certain lessons that won't ever change. Like keeping the faith. Right? Never turning your back on Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the hardships that the prophets are going to have to go through. Right? This job comes with certain hazards. This job of ours is very hazardous. A lot of things can happen to us physically and spiritually. We're going to go through physical attacks and we're going to go through spiritual attacks. But that comes with the job. right? It says that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. Why? Because there's certain scriptures we're going to read and it's going to give us hope. When we read what the men of the Lord went through in the kingdom, it's going to make us humble. It's going to be our humility. That's what's going to humble us, to remind us. That's going to be our reminder. Yes, the burning of Babylon, right? The smoke going up. That's going to be a reminder of what happens to a wicked place and a wicked kingdom and a wicked rulership under a wicked man known as Esau, right? The so-called white man. But our stories are going to be written so we always remember what happens to a people when they turn against the Lord, when they turn against Yahweh. Okay? So our story, very important, brothers. Never forget that. Meaning that you have to be careful of your behavior and how you're acting, because your story's being written. Everything about us is being written. It's all being written down. All of it is being written down, and it's all going to come to an account, whether good or whether bad. It's going to be a part of your story. So remember, a story's being written about you, right? And that story is going to be told to everybody in the kingdom. The kingdom is going to read about you. That's going to be one of the number one selling books. One of the number one selling books is going, obviously, the deliverance, right? The deliverance of the elect, 144,000 and the 1/3. That's going to be amazing. But the stories of the men of the Lord is going to be spectacular. Those books are going to fly off the shelves, right? People are going to want to know. They're going to want our account of what the elect, mainly the 144,000, went through. Literally, they're going to want you to write, oh, you were from New York? Yo, tell me about that place. Oh, you were from Toronto? What happened? Like, what was it like?